If you hide assets in your divorce and it's discovered that you hide assets, you stand to lose 100% instead of keeping the 50%. So don't do that.
Welcome to Gavels Down, Voices Up, where we flip the script on conventional legal discussions. I'm Rachel King, here to guide you through the murky waters of family law, estate conflicts, inheritance disputes, all of the dramas. We're not just talking about law, we're talking about how it affects your life, your rights, your future, and your money. From the courtroom to your living room, we bring you insights that matter. Dive into each episode ready to challenge, learn, and grow. Ready to change the dialogue? Let's begin. Gavels down, voices up.
Divorce and money. Two of the most stressful things that go on in life. And then you pair them together and oh my gosh, it's like paralyzing. Today, we're going to talk all about the financial implications of divorce, some of the things that you should know, and some of the things you definitely shouldn't do. All right. So when you got married, all of the decisions that were made were for the marriage. Now, hopefully you worked together, but if you didn't work together, then still the decisions that you made and that your spouse made, whether you liked them or not, were marital decisions. Maybe you went along with them, or you didn't really like them, but you turned a blind eye. Whatever the case may be, those were all marital decisions. Now, there's been a breakdown in that marriage, and so we are dividing. But just because you've made marital decisions, especially financially, doesn't mean that your financial situation is going to stay the same. And in fact, I can say with almost complete certainty that I've never dealt with a divorced couple or a couple that was divorcing that was the same financially that they were in the marriage. There's typically a period of growing pains where you're readjusting. Sometimes that is really great and sometimes not. But here's the thing. When you are married, you have one pot of money. All of the incomes go into that pot of money. Even if you keep separate bank accounts, we are dealing with a fixed finite amount of money that is being earned and accumulated in the marriage. And that amount of money is being used for one household, your marital household. So now we're getting divorced and we have to have two households, right? Because we're splitting. But there's still that same single pot of money. We still have all of the same incomes coming in. But instead of going for one, we have to go for two. So without being a mathematician, that just doesn't add up. There's no way that you're going to take a 1-to-1 and have it be equal to the 1-to-2. So the biggest takeaway is that your financial situation is going to change when you get divorced, even if you made marital decisions. And this is most commonly seen when we're dealing with stay-at-home spouses or one of the spouses that made less money, maybe to take home the children or whatever the case may be. While the court tries to keep everybody at their marital standard of living, for the reasons I just explained, that's impossible. So what do? Well, you want to plan for divorce. And when I say that, maybe you're not expecting, it might not have been your idea, and you're just being thrown into it, trying to play catch up. You can still plan for divorce. Look at all of the assets that you have. Treat assets different than income. And then look at what your lifestyle is likely to be or what you can afford post-divorce. You can't live the same lifestyle. You can't live in the same house. The house is probably going to be sold. So can you live where you currently reside in that community? Do you need to look outside of the community? Start to put a budget together of what is realistic that you can afford. And now it all comes together. We're going to look at how much assets you have. Maybe you get $200,000 from the sale of the house. Maybe you're the higher wage earner, so you're going to be paying some spousal support. Maybe you're going to be getting spousal support, but you're sitting back thinking, oh, I remember that one time Rachel told me that I needed to get a job. Yeah, you have to get a job because even though you were allowed and the marital decision was for you to stay home, that isn't going on anymore. That marriage with those marital decisions doesn't exist. And in all likelihood, the court is going to impute you at full-time minimum wage. Nobody can make you work, but they can sure say, hey, we're going to assume that you are bringing in X amount of dollars. Well, if they're going to assume that, you might as well do it, right? So go out and get a job. Put together your budget. Look at what it's likely to be outside of divorce and make your plans. Why is that important to do at the outset or as soon as possible and readjust? Because It can help with custody and visitation arrangements. If you have to move 45 minutes away, or you're going to move 45 minutes away, maybe that changes when who your children are going to be with you or with other parents.
Just a moment for a quick break. Are you struggling with the legal and emotional tolls of divorce? Let me, Rachel King, help guide you. Head over to gettingdivorcednowwhat.com/free chapter for your copy of the first chapter of my new book, Getting Divorced Now What. Learn tips to navigate your divorce in the most successful way possible. The full book is coming out January 15th, and you can pre-order yours now. Now let's get back to the show.
Now, it can be so tempting to try and hide money, pull out that cash, empty the 401k, not disclose something that you have. But the bottom line is, if you hide assets in your divorce and it's discovered that you hide assets, you stand to lose 100% instead of keeping the 50%. So don't do that. The bottom line is that when you are getting divorced, at least right after, your financial situation is going to change. But the three things that you can do are get a job and learn how to increase your income, especially if you are the lower wage earner. If you're the higher wage earner, you want to do that too, because yes, you're going to be paying support and it goes off of your income, but you're also going to have to support your own self. And I've just never been one of those people to say, I'm going to earn less so I can pay less. I'm going to earn more so that I can have the lifestyle that I want, notwithstanding what I have. Then you're going to want to put together a spreadsheet or some kind of paperwork, however you work best. Sticky notes are fine too, of all of the assets that you have. What is the equity in them? What is the likely walk away? And divide it in half. Is it yours? Okay, so now you have an understanding of what you're going to be getting and how you can stretch that, or maybe you don't get anything because you guys don't have any assets, and that's okay too, but at least you know it. And then 3, you want to look at what your reasonable cost of living is and be realistic with yourself. That doesn't mean you need to not shoot for the stars in court and try and get more, but if you're living in a 5-bedroom house in a really beautiful neighborhood and you're getting divorced and you're only going to have your children half the time and you only have 2 kids, so maybe you don't need a 5-bedroom house. Yeah, it's nice to have, and hopefully you'll get back there. But for the purposes of financial planning and divorce, just look at what you're going to be able to do and then put it together, create a plan, and then you'll have only up to go. Financials and divorce talk about stressors, and it can be frustrating to go through these steps and to really understand maybe how destitute you're going to feel for a little bit, but it can also be really empowering and give you the tools and the steps to make your life better. At the end of a divorce, hopefully you are in a better place than you were before, emotionally, and now you have a way to be better financially.
That wraps up another episode of Gavels Down, Voices Up. If you found value in our discussion today, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with someone who needs these insights. Your engagement helps us grow and impact more lives. I'm Rachel King, thanking you for listening and reminding you to speak up, because every voice deserves to be heard.